Thank you. Thank you. Yes, please. Yes.
So the next questioner is a Mr. Akin.
A king or a king?
Mr. Akin is the name I have.
It's okay. Akin. Is he here?
Oh, sorry.
Acha.
In that case.
Prior to his being Jariullah, he was a king.
Oh, I see.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes,
I've got two names down. There are three questioners left. The next questioner is Mr. Neville Stack.
Yes, please.
So, some of us here are involved in the communications industry, and therefore my question is based on the remarkable, even astonishing spread of Ahmadiyya throughout the world at incredible speed. The question is, how does it happen? How do people know about it?
Thank you very much. Yes. You see, Ahmadiyya community claims to be a community planted by God Himself or created by God Himself to fulfill the prophecy which is mentioned in the Holy Quran, that the faith of Islam will ultimately emerge victorious over all other faiths. So, according to the Holy Quran, in the latter days, there was to be the advent of Prophet Muhammad, not in the same person, but in the form of a follower. So, we do not understand that literally at all, nor does the Quran permit it. So, the Holy Quran Prophet had to come again in the form of a servant of his who would restart the movement of Islam spreading over the whole world. So this is the claim of the community. Now, we have lost so much time, 1300 years, in comparison to many other Muslim sects, and the issue with us was how to move fast enough, not only to capture the imagination of others, but also the Muslims. So the pace had to be tremendously bigger and larger and more effective. So we started doing it through literature. We have been able to publish the translations of the Holy Quran so far into 52 languages of the world, major languages of the world, and making it available for almost every nation, because these 52 major languages are understood largely and read and printed in so many countries. English, for instance, German, Spanish, French, and Chinese. So in all major languages of the world, Japanese of course, Turkish, Korean, and so on and so forth, Hindi, Sanskrit, all the major languages. Now we can but we can take genuine pride in the fact that we have been able to serve the cause of Islam and the cause of humanity by making the Quran available to almost all the world. But the plan would be complete after we reach the 100, for which the preparation is on way, and many translation is in the pipeline at the moment. So within the next few years, I suppose, I hope, we will be able to reach the figure of 100. Although Christianity can claim much larger number of languages in which Bible has been translated, but I have gone into detail and pursued those languages right to the country and the areas where they're spoken. And I was surprised to find that most of the people belonging to those languages cannot read or write. You see, so it was an effort practically lost. And they could not create any impact as far as the language went. I think they went for the number. And that was also well intended, I hope. So in that regard, I discarded the scheme of competing with Christianity just for the sake of hollow numbers. He said the purpose is that man, wherever he is, he should understand the message of the Quran in his own language, or in a language to which he is familiar. So in that way, 100 languages which we have very carefully chosen will cover the need of the entire mankind. But that also was very slow. The problem we faced was that large areas of the Muslim world particularly were made unavailable and inaccessible to Ahmadiyya community for our message. In Pakistan, from which I hail, you see, it is forbidden to publish any book of Hazrat Masih Maud Islam, the founder of the community, or to address any other Pakistani with the message of Ahmadiyya. It is punishable by at least 3 years rigorous imprisonment if any Ahmadi attempts to do it. In the Arab world, almost everywhere, whenever an attempt was made to send our literature across through mail or personally, it was always stopped at the ports, at the post offices. And we simply couldn't do anything. So my predecessor thought of going for radio. And this was his dream, his ambition, that we should have communication through radio so that we could reach the largest number of people. Now when I attempted to fulfill his wish, I realized that the days of radios are fast buried in the past. Although it is still a live instrument of conveying the ideas, in many areas it is very effective in fact. But the problems which we faced were manifold. Number one, it was a thing of the past. Already it has been almost written off, because through satellite television, the world is being hooked onto this new system where they could see a thing and hear a thing together. But apart from that, there were extreme managerial problems, because different countries had very strict laws on the radio transmissions, and the power which was needed to have a world radio also required a base where to install that. And no country was ready to grant us this permission. So I said, why not television? And then we started working for it. Fortunately, it so happened that when this desire was born and it took real shape, our determination, just during those days, Russia fell to the outside world and crumbled down, and the Berlin Wall also was demolished, and there was no drawing line separating the free world and the so-called enslaved world. And with that, a large number of their satellites became redundant and without any purpose. So they very quickly wanted to go to the world market for joining this satellite system of television production. Now, for us it was made possible just because of that. Otherwise, the prices we had to pay to the rest of the regular international companies were forbidding, absolutely impossible for us within our means to go for any television station with the help of these other satellite companies. There were in some cases there were 20 times more. So although some of the satellites available started wobbling, and from time to time you had to change your antennas to different directions, but overall they provide us excellent service at a very cheap rate. So then when we gained the know-how, because all the workers involved were volunteers, none was paid, we did not only gain the know-how in England, but we also gained the know-how in the rest of the world where Ahmadiyya is established. In all European countries, in America, in Canada, in Far Eastern countries and so on. So people became interested in antennas and changing the direction and making their own dishes cheaply. In Africa, for instance, we couldn't afford to buy the dish antennas from the market because we had to pay 10 times more the prices. So I sent technicians there who had learned the art of making perfect parabolas, and they started teaching Africans how to build antennas, dish antennas, etc. So practically this necessity of spending least and gaining most of the gains out of that small spending trained us. If we were rich enough to go to the market, very few Ahmadis would really bother to get more information about it and learn the knowledge in depth. So now we have thousands of Ahmadis prepared in the world who by themselves have studied this and are capable, with the grace of Allah, of linking their own hand personally made dishes with any satellite in the world. So here's Nasir Shah. Sayyid Nasir Shah, where is he? He is an example. Sayyid Nasir Shah is gone? Huh? Just, no, he will not belong, doesn't belong here, he's from Birmingham, isn't he? But he didn't know the ABC of science and these things prior to my entrusting him with the task of finding an alternative. I mentioned him because the second phase begins from here. After dealing with Russians for a time, we realized they were rather wonky people, difficult to work with. And they began to hurt us with the knowledge that perhaps we were in their pockets. We couldn't go to the open market anyway. So I told Nasir Shah to start looking right and left and as far away from here as possible, even to go to the American markets and their satellites, to somehow find out if we can have an alternative to Russian satellites. And he taught himself first of all. He had no knowledge. When he used to telephone me, what can I do, what should I do, I told him. He said, but I don't understand these things. I said, you will come. I didn't understand them either. So let's go together, help each other. And within the last 10 months or so, he has acquired so much knowledge that when the experts from other companies come, they are amazed at his a store of knowledge which he has in his heart and mind. So this is how it was made possible to abandon the Russian satellites and shift over to the most modern satellite system of Americans. And it resolved many problems for us, largely the money. Because the system we chose for us was not a cheap popular system to which generally the satellites were hooked. Because the satellites in the world most often are hooked onto such television as provide cheap programs, luxurious programs, and programs to destroy human morals. So they are a big company, sort of wholesalers. They sell their time much cheaper to these companies and don't go for their own programming. So we said, because our clientele would definitely hook onto our satellites, whether they are popular or not, it wouldn't make any difference. Provided the service is excellent. So that is what we needed. So at slightly higher price we paid to Russians, we got perfect service and global service because of this wholesale industry, And people would be amazed how little we spend on this in comparison to other companies, single companies. Even one single company based in India spends at least 20-30 times what we do to provide this service to the whole world. The secret lies in voluntary work. You see, to get a space on satellite or a transponder is comparatively much cheaper than to prepare programs. For each hour sometimes you have to pay £100,000 or $150,000, and to keep a station working for 24 hours with variety almost every day is a very expensive thing. But in the course of this experience, we have launched voluntary companies who make programs voluntarily without charging the Jamaat a single penny. They do it with such zeal. For instance, in Germany they make German programs, in America they make American programs, in Canada the Canadian programs. They don't charge a single penny from the Jamaat they serve, but in fact they pay from their own pockets. They foot the bills of their personal, travels, etc., etc. So people think we are very rich, have to be fabulously rich community to go for the whole world service. But the secret lies in dedication and sincerity, that's all. Thank you.